I'll describe for you the first time I met an octopus, and from their behavior, you can draw your own conclusion. Yeah. And I went to the New England Aquarium and asked if I could go behind the scenes and if the curator of that gallery would open the lid and let me meet her. This large, at least her arm span would have been at least 8 feet. Large creature came out of her lair, flowing like water out of her lair, and rose from the water to look at me. I saw her silvery eye swivel in its socket and seek my face. She looked into my eyes, and the next thing I knew, her arms were boiling up out of the water with those beautiful white questing suckers first. It was clear she wanted to know what I was, and I wanted to know what she was. So I plunged my hands and arms into the water, and immediately she started covering me with her soft questing suckers. And the thing about octopus skin is they can taste with every inch of their skin. But this is most exquisitely developed in the suckers, of which on the giant Pacific, there are 200 on each arm, who is looking into my face, who has chosen to leave its lair, who again has chosen to take its arms and suckers and lift them out of the water at considerable effort to see what the heck I was. I was certainly not the first human that she met, but it is now known that octopuses can recognize individual humans. This has been tested. So I was a new human to her. And we spent quite some time kind of exploring each other. So immediately it was clear to me that she was just as curious about me as I was about her. Had she been frightened, she would have never left her lair. If she had come out of the lair, saw something horrible, she would have gone back in. But no, she wanted to investigate me. And she ended up knowing a great deal about me. Very few people begin tasting and touching you that early in a relationship. But she was, and she was learning a great deal about me. Well, I think curiosity is recognized as an attribute of what humans consider higher minds being those minds like our own. And I could go on for a while about the value of exploring minds that are unlike our own yet. But curiosity serves a valuable adaptive advantage. Because if you're curious, you're going to explore your environment and have a better idea of what's going on in the neighborhood. Curiosity has adaptive value, and I expect it is far more widespread in our universe than a lot of people recognize or relate to. I think for an octopus, they are a short-lived species. You may know that giant Pacific octopuses only live 3 to 5 years. So their curiosity from the point that they hatch is quite intense. They have to learn everything that they need to survive. They are not being taught it by their parents. They hatch out of tiny eggs the size of a grain of rice. The father's long gone. He has nothing to do with caring for the eggs. The mother may care for the eggs until they hatch, but then shortly after that, she dies. So curiosity is a really important tool for an octopus. And I think their curiosity is even more intense in their short lives than ours is. I think one of the reasons that Octavia and Kali and Karma and Athena enjoyed my company and chose to come out of their lair whenever I was there is that we would play together. And play is also one of those expressions of what is thought of as higher consciousness. We enjoyed the same kind of thing. And all these octopuses would have been fed just as much and just as often if I wasn't the one offering them food. But it gets boring in your tank if nothing's going on. And it's pretty cool if there's somebody that you can explore, somebody who's going to give you a toy. The other thing that octopuses like, many of them enjoy gentle touch. And they're quite distinctive in this. Some don't like it if you touch their head. Some don't like it if you touch their mantle. Some really enjoy if you run your finger down. They'll have 2 rows of suckers between those 2 rows. Some really enjoy what that feels like. Others don't. Others don't like to be touched at all. Some don't want to interact with people. I have not met an octopus at New England Aquarium that wanted absolutely nothing to do with me ever. But, that is possible as well. But I think what curiosity does for everyone who possesses it is it widens your view of what is possible in this world. It tells you where the food is and where the predators are, but it also can lead you to things that are just plain fun. And I am convinced that the octopuses that I knew just enjoyed having a fun time doing something new and interesting. They certainly know when it's time to mate or lay eggs. So, because they only do that, most octopus species only mate and lay eggs at the very end of their lives. For the giant Pacific octopus, in the wild, the female would lay eggs and live only 6 more months. And at the end of those 6 months, if she is lucky, she might get to see her baby paralarvae hatch out of those eggs, and she will use her last breaths to blow her babies out of her lair into the open ocean, and then she will die. And during those 6 months, she never leaves her lair. And I experienced this with my friend Octavia. Octavia laid eggs. They were not fertile because there was no Mr. Octopus, but she laid them nonetheless. And she wasn't aware that they weren't fertile, so she cared for them as if they were. And she was constantly like fluffing them and making sure if there was a bad egg. We now know that they can taste whether one of your eggs goes bad. This is so interesting because they can taste the biome on the surface of the egg. She never left her lair where her eggs were laid. She no longer looked up at us through the water or played with us. We could feed her because we could put food on the end of a grabber and stuff it under there, and she would take that food. But in the wild, they don't eat, they don't hunt, they never leave. They are that devoted of mothers, bless their 3 hearts. We don't die right after. We have many opportunities to have lots of children, but an octopus, the way they're set up, they get one chance to have 100,000 babies, and then bam, that's the end. I don't know if they know that they are becoming senescent or not. And the reason I don't know it is A, I'm not an octopus, and B, I have a lot of older friends, and I would love to know if they know that they're becoming senescent, but they can't. Even the smartest and dearest of my old friends who have had this happen to them can't tell me. So they may know it somewhere in their hearts, but with humans. And I knew she was old, but I didn't think that I would only get to see her like 2 or 3 times before she died. And I was so upset when she died. And usually, with a person that you've only met 2 or 3 times, you're not as upset with their death. But when you are singled out by someone like an octopus, it makes you feel so special. And she was my first. I'd never known anyone so unlike me. I'd never gotten to meet anyone or interact with anyone as unlike me as she was. It was as if, you were saying, as if I'd met an alien. It was like E.T. was suddenly my friend. And I was very upset when she died. And the same, oh my gosh, worse with Octavia, because I'd known her ever since she pretty much arrived at New England Aquarium till almost the very day she died. And I loved her. I don't know how she felt about me. I don't know if we could call it love. I don't even know if we could call it affection, if it felt like to her, if affection felt the same to her as it did to me. But I do know that she chose my company. And at the end of her life, she not only remembered me, but she made a huge effort when she was sick and old and dying. She made a huge effort to come from the bottom of her tank up to the surface to greet me, to look into my face, and to touch and to taste me for one last time.